Your bank account is so empty, your banking app has stopped sending notifications because, frankly, there is nothing left to notify you about. Your family is worried. Your friends have quietly stopped discussing money around you. Then, one morning, you notice a man selling tomatoes. Only tomatoes. No app, no personal brand, no podcast about his morning routine. By noon, every crate is empty. He counts his cash and leaves looking more financially secure than you have felt in years. So you pull out your phone and open the calculator. This is dangerous because 5 minutes with a calculator is how most bad businesses begin. But the numbers look strangely interesting. Could $30 in tomatoes eventually become a $100,000 business? That is what we are going to test. Not with motivational quotes or a suspiciously smooth revenue graph. We will include transport, waste, delayed payments, and every boring problem people usually ignore. Let's run the numbers before ordering the Lamborghini. The global tomato market may be enormous, but none of those billions are standing in front of your stall. What matters is the woman walking toward you with a shopping bag. If people here buy repeatedly, then you may have a business. How much people regularly buy tomatoes? How much are they willing to pay? Where do they currently buy them? And has another seller already occupied the corner you plan to conquer? Tomatoes are what retailers call a fast-moving product. That means customers purchase them frequently, not that the tomatoes themselves are particularly athletic. Homes use them, restaurants use them, and caterers use them, so demand can be regular. But regular demand and profitable demand are different things. A crowded stall can still quietly lose money. The important number is not how many people visited. It is how much cash remained after serving them. Imagine selling tomatoes all morning. Then the money disappears into transport, low prices, and damaged stock. Revenue can look exciting, while the owner remains completely broke. Money passing through your hands is not automatically profit. Tomato prices can also move sharply. Rain, crop damage, seasonal supply, and transport problems can change the market quickly. One week, you look like a brilliant commodity trader. The next week, your inventory becomes a collection of expensive red water balloons. Still, the appeal is simplicity. You do not need an office, a pitch deck, or a co-founder responsible for strategy. At the smallest level, you need a crate and a customer. But simplicity does not remove mathematics. Your father lends you $30. He does it silently, with the expression of a man watching someone microwave metal. This is your entire starting capital, so every dollar needs a specific job. Let's assume tomatoes cost 25 cents per kilo wholesale. You then sell them for 50 cents per kilo. That gives you 25 cents of gross profit before expenses. It looks like you have doubled your money. But the original 25 cents only returns your starting cash. The remaining 25 cents is what exists before transport and waste. Finance calls the first number markup and the second number margin. Apparently 1% was not confusing enough. Suppose one crate contains 25 kilos. At 25 cents per kilo, one crate costs $6.25. 4 crates cost $25. That leaves $5 for transport or one small disaster. If every kilo sells at 50 cents, your revenue is $50. Your inventory cost was $25. So your gross profit before transport is $25. Congratulations, you are Warren Buffett with a weighing scale. Unfortunately, tomatoes exist outside the spreadsheet. Some get bruised, some become too soft, and some customers inspect 7 before rejecting all 7. They somehow make you feel personally responsible for the tomato's childhood. This is where spoilage enters the calculation. If 20% of your stock remains unsold, you sell 80 kilos. At 50 cents per kilo, that gives you $40 in revenue. After subtracting the $25 inventory cost, $15 remains. And we still have not deducted transport. At 30% waste, you sell only 70 kilos. Revenue falls to $35. Gross profit before transport drops to $10. The beautiful 100% markup has now left the building. The first lesson is painfully unglamorous. Do not buy more tomatoes than you can actually sell. A mountain of inventory may make you look like a serious entrepreneur. Rotten tomatoes are famously unimpressed by ambition. On the first morning, you arrive with 4 crates. After several profitable days, you return with 5, then 6, and eventually a larger stall. Yesterday's profit has paid for today's extra stock. This is what reinvestment looks like. The money does not multiply magically while you sleep. It simply returns as more inventory the following morning, and hopefully that inventory returns as even more cash. But you do not put every dollar back into tomatoes. One afternoon, your scooter tire goes flat with 6 crates tied behind you. The repair comes from the emergency cash you kept aside. Without it, the tomato empire ends beside a confused mechanic. People love saying, reinvest everything. It sounds disciplined and works beautifully in motivational videos. It also leaves you one repair bill away from bankruptcy. A growing business still needs spare cash. Keep money aside for transport, repairs, and unexpected waste. You may also need money for food, which remains surprisingly important. The business cannot compound if it dies, and you cannot eat a projected profit margin. In month 1, you learn what the street stall can actually sell. You record how many tomatoes are damaged or left behind. You discover which hours are busy. You also discover which customers bargain as a competitive sport. Suppose you eventually average $20 of net profit per trading day. Across 25 days, that is roughly $500. This is an illustrative example, not a prophecy. The sacred tomato fields have issued no guarantees. In month 2, a nearby restaurant begins ordering every Friday. Now, some stock is sold before you even reach the market. That reduces uncertainty and gives you a predictable delivery. Predictability is not exciting, but it pays surprisingly well. By month 3, one assistant helps load the scooter. You handle restaurant calls while the stall continues operating. The business has not become enormous, but the growth now has visible steps instead of one miraculous chart. The exact numbers will depend on your city. Wholesale prices, retail prices, transport, and spoilage can vary completely. The point is not that $30 automatically becomes $1,500. The point is that repeated profitable cycles can slowly grow available capital. At first, growth means adding more crates. Then one morning, the scooter carries enough tomatoes to qualify as a small building. You cannot add another crate, another delivery, or another working hour. The spreadsheet wants growth, but the scooter is full. One person can only buy, load, transport, unload, and sell so much. At some point, your entire life becomes one continuous interaction with plastic crates. Working harder may increase sales for a while. Eventually, the physical workload limits the financial result. Suppose you somehow sell 150 kilos every day. That is already a demanding operation for one person. You still have to purchase the stock and collect every payment. The business has reached its human limit. $100,000 a year is roughly $8,300 a month. A single scooter route is unlikely to generate that consistently, unless the scooter is also selling luxury apartments. To reach the target, the business model has to change. Retail gives you immediate cash. It may also give you a better selling price per kilo. You learn directly what customers want, and which tomatoes they reject with theatrical disappointment. But retail requires many small transactions. Customers bargain, compare prices, and cross the road to save 3 cents. You also carry the risk of unsold inventory. Retail is useful early, but difficult to scale. To expand retail, you need more locations, sellers, or vehicles. Each addition creates supervision and operating costs. At that point, you are no longer simply selling tomatoes. You are managing people who sell tomatoes. Restaurants can buy larger quantities on a regular schedule. The selling price per kilo may be lower than retail, but one confirmed weekly order reduces selling time and uncertainty. Predictability has financial value. 5 reliable restaurants can be better than hundreds of random street customers. You know roughly how much stock they need. You can buy against confirmed orders, and fewer tomatoes spend the evening wondering whether anyone loves them. But restaurant supply must be calculated properly. Include the buying price, delivery cost, spoilage, and collection time. A 40% markup can look excellent on paper. Then you deliver 10 kilos across town and discover that fuel also has ambitions. The restaurant manager happily accepts the delivery, but when payment day arrives, they become impossible to locate. Whenever you call, they are suddenly in a meeting. Apparently, running a restaurant involves months of uninterrupted meetings. Hotels, schools, hospitals, and catering companies can purchase larger quantities. One contract may equal several smaller restaurant accounts. This is where the business starts looking less like a street hustle. It begins looking like a distribution company. Distribution is less romantic than selling from a roadside stall. It involves invoices, delivery schedules, licenses, and quality checks. But this is usually where serious revenue begins. Large buyers care more about reliability than your inspirational founder story. They expect the correct quantity to arrive on time. They may demand consistent size, ripeness, and quality. They may reject a delivery that fails their standard. Your tomatoes now have performance reviews. You deliver a truck full of tomatoes to a luxury hotel. The manager smiles, accepts everything, and stamps your invoice. The invoice says payable in 60 days. The hotel now has your tomatoes. On paper, you have made a huge sale. Your accounts show thousands of dollars in revenue. But the actual cash will arrive several weeks later. Until then, the revenue is mainly a comforting number on paper. This gap is called working capital. It means that on paper, your business looks rich, but in reality, you cannot afford lunch. Your money is trapped inside a billionaire hotel chain's accounting software. You still need cash for tomorrow's inventory. You still need fuel, packaging, and wages. Your workers will not accept an unpaid hotel invoice as salary. For some reason, they prefer actual money. The hotel has your inventory. You have a document promising future cash. Documents are useful for accounting. They are considerably less useful at a sandwich stall. This is how growing businesses fail. Sales rise, accounting profit improves, and everyone celebrates. But cash leaves faster than it returns. The company looks successful until it cannot buy tomorrow's stock. Before offering credit, build a cash reserve. Negotiate payment terms and track every unpaid invoice. Know exactly how much money is locked with each customer. A large unpaid sale can be more dangerous than a small cash sale. Another possible revenue stream is price timing. You buy tomatoes when prices are low and store them. Then you wait for prices to rise. In theory, this sounds clever. You place 100 crates inside a refrigerated room. Every day, the storage bill grows. A price board outside continues changing. Meanwhile, the tomatoes wait under expensive air conditioning. If prices rise enough, the trade may work. If prices stay flat, storage costs eat the margin. If prices fall, you lose money while paying to protect the inventory. This is not guaranteed profit. Several tomatoes may still become soft. Refrigeration delays spoilage, but does not defeat biology. You have not made the inventory immortal. You have simply given spoilage a nicer apartment. Only consider this after understanding local seasonal patterns. You also need reliable storage and confirmed buyers. Otherwise, you are not trading tomatoes. You are renting an expensive room for them to slowly disappoint you. In the morning, the market stall produces immediate cash. In the afternoon, the scooter delivers confirmed restaurant orders. By evening, a larger vehicle supplies a hotel kitchen. Each operation serves a different purpose. Retail provides cash today. Restaurants provide predictable weekly demand. Institutional buyers provide larger volumes. Together, they can support a serious distribution business. The $100,000 target does not come from one heroic tomato sale. It comes from several ordinary systems working every day. Buying, sorting, selling, delivering, and collecting payments. Repeated again and again, without collapsing. The operation now needs workers, vehicles, and bookkeeping. You may need storage, quality checks, and delivery routes. You begin by selling tomatoes. Then, you accidentally build a logistics company. The first major risk is spoilage. Tomatoes lose quality as they sit. Their usable life depends on ripeness, handling, and storage. Inventory is effectively a clock. Most business inventory sits quietly on a shelf. Tomato inventory changes color, develops soft spots, and eventually collapses. It has a much more dramatic emotional journey, and every stage of that journey costs money. Track waste every day. Record what was damaged, unsold, or rejected. Do not hide the number because it makes the revenue look less impressive. Discarded stock is still a real cost. If waste suddenly increases, investigate immediately. Maybe you purchased too much or handled the crates badly. Maybe the quality from one supplier has fallen. The rotten tomatoes are trying to tell you something. The second risk is a sudden fall in market prices. Suppose you buy inventory at 40 cents per kilo. Then fresh supply enters the market. The price falls to 20 cents. You may now have to sell at a loss. Waiting for prices to recover is difficult. Your inventory has a biological expiration date. It does not care about your long-term investment thesis. Avoid holding too much uncommitted stock. Buy against confirmed orders wherever possible. Larger volume only helps when customers are ready to absorb it. Otherwise, scale creates a larger problem. Imagine 10 crates representing your monthly revenue. 5 of them come from one hotel. The hotel changes suppliers. Half the tower disappears in one afternoon. You did not simply lose one customer. You lost the floor holding up the business. The danger remained hidden while orders were arriving. Large contracts can create large dependencies. A major customer feels like a breakthrough. Then it slowly becomes half your revenue. At that point, the customer has enormous control. One cancellation can remove months of growth overnight. Try to build several independent customer relationships. No single buyer should be impossible to replace, because if one customer disappears, you do not want to be alone, especially not with 600 kilos of emotionally complicated tomatoes. Cash leaves your hand when you purchase tomatoes. The tomatoes travel to the customer. An invoice travels back to you. The actual money may remain locked behind a future date. If that cash returns too slowly, the next delivery never leaves the market. The business can show strong sales and accounting profit. It can still have no usable cash. In business, this is generally considered inconvenient. Accountants have several longer explanations. The simple version is that money leaves before money returns. If the gap becomes too large, operations stop. The spreadsheet survives, but the business does not. Maintain a reserve for inventory and operating expenses. Monitor outstanding invoices every week. Do not confuse booked revenue with available cash. Only one of those can purchase tomorrow's tomatoes. So, can $30 become a $100,000 tomato business? $30 may be enough to test a tiny retail operation. It can help you learn demand, pricing, and waste. But the final target requires something much larger. You need recurring commercial buyers. You need reliable suppliers, transport, labor, and cash reserves. You need control over spoilage and payment collection. And you need time to build those systems properly. The business is possible as a distribution operation. It is not automatic, and it is not guaranteed. Tomatoes do not contain a magical hidden margin. They are simply one product moving through a real business system. The $100,000 business is not one person selling faster. It is a network of stalls, deliveries, and recurring customers. It is supported by cash reserves and reliable operations. The tomato is only the product at the center. The tomato shows what one unit costs. The cash box shows what remains after expenses. The invoice proves that a sale is not always cash. And the delivery vehicle shows that growth becomes logistics. The real lesson is not that tomatoes are a secret path to wealth. They simply make basic business principles easy to see. Know what one unit costs. Know what remains after every expense. Protect your cash. Find customers who return. Increase inventory only when demand supports it. And never confuse a large pile of stock with success. That rule applies to tomatoes, clothing, and electronics. Revenue looks exciting, but cash flow keeps the doors open. Growth looks impressive, but controlled growth survives. Projections are harmless until you start spending money based on them. Your father still may not directly say he is proud, but last week, he mentioned your business to a colleague without being asked. For him, that is a standing ovation and an emotional TED Talk. And yes, you finally returned his $30.